This is Lake Turkana. It's the largest desert lake in the world. It's over twice the area of Long Island. And it's here in one of the hottest, driest places on the planet in northern Kenya. This is where our earliest hominin ancestors evolved more than 10 million years ago. And today there are hundreds of thousands of people who live here and depend on the lake. Water in the desert across the world is a valuable, vulnerable resource. Right now, the Great Salt Lake is drying up, the Dead Sea is drying up, and here in Lake Turkana, we have really unpredictable changes, which is how this tree that grew on dry land got to be nearly submerged when I saw it a couple years ago. Up until now, all of the information that we've had to monitor Lake Turkana has come from satellite images, which can tell us a lot about how the lake level is changing and how the shoreline is moving, but it doesn't tell us anything about the water itself. And that's really important because over 90% of the water in Lake Turkana comes from the Omo River, which flows through the Ethiopian highlands to the north. And in the last 10 years, Ethiopia has built a series of dams on the Omo that change both the volume of water flowing into Lake Turkana and the timing of seasonal floods. Lake Turkana is a closed basin lake, which means that there's no outflow. All of the water that enters Lake Turkana eventually leaves by evaporation. So understanding the evaporative process is really important for monitoring changes in the lake. For my dissertation, I collect water samples from Lake Turkana, and I measure them for properties of hydrogen and oxygen that tell us about evaporation. There are some atoms of hydrogen and oxygen that are just a little bit heavier than others, and so they behave differently when water precipitates as rain and when it evaporates. With my analysis, I'm able to tell about how much evaporation has occurred between the water in the lake and its source. And what I find is that it's about 15 to 20% evaporated. That's consistent with the kinds of estimates we're able to make from the satellite images. So what my project demonstrates is that this method of going out and sampling water in the lake, measuring properties of hydrogen and oxygen, can be a really important part of our strategy for stewardship. Lake Turkana is such an important part of our past. It's a critical part of our present, and we need to do everything we can to preserve it for the future.